Johnson Controls, the first law of good ideas. So, go for it. Sooner or later, every good idea degenerates. It's the truth, isn't it? It is absolutely the truth. The question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That is not a good reason to not do it. A good idea is still a good idea. In my zone, and he strikes up a conversation, and I'm like, all right, well, fine. So we start chit-chatting a little bit. I think we're just killing time, right, to get ready for the exam. And what are you going to talk about? It's a total stranger, somebody who doesn't know me. What's the one thing we have in common, this class? Well, we've never sat together, we've never talked together, we're not going to talk about the class at this point. So what's the other shared experience we have? The first midterm. So he just casually asked me about the first midterm, and how did you do, and this, and I said, actually, I'm trying to be modest, but I'm like, rocked it, but I did well on it and whatever, and he kind of says sort of the same thing, and a few minutes go by, and then all our IDs are checked, and then it's time to start the exam. They give up the exam. Here we go. So I'm sitting there, Star Wars theme song running through my head, knocking this thing out, and all of a sudden I realize he's looking at my paper. And I kind of have that, you have that feeling, like it's right up there in your shoulder, like I think someone's looking at me. And so I kind of have that look, and I'm like, yeah. So I kind of keep going and thinking, like, maybe that's just my thing. And he's still doing it. He's still doing it. And I realize he's not glancing at my paper. And in this multiple choice exam, he is copying every single one of my answers.
As I was discussing this topic with my Okinawan cousin, she said, well, if you're bringing jewelry and some of this other, well, what about the guys in the audience? So I really should call this portable art. Okay, so as I have, everybody talks about, you got to do gender equity and all that. Okay, so then someone will say, ooh, that's a really cool, Venice, sorry, can't get that here either. Okay, so, by the way, the bag, so in Ecuador, the women have these backstrap looms, they're only as wide as this. They sit on their back, they carry them around, and whenever they have a little bit of extra time, boom, they're weaving. So everything that comes from a backstrap loom is approximately this wide. So you get wall hangings like this, or tapestries, or you get purses that you can, now I'm looking at the jewelry, right? I said I was going to get to the jewelry. Okay. But there's also, because there's wearable art. Okay, so no. This is from the Elephant Reserve in Malaysia. No, not that one. Oh, this one's from Turkey. This one's from Istanbul. After 9/11, it was kind of scary to wear this. Because, they see the stuff down there, then they look at you like, because I have dark hair. They go, you're not one of those.
This may sound a little crazy, but my most enjoyable moments in life in the last 10 years have oftentimes been centered around my son, Charlie. When he was young, the most exciting day he could have was me getting off of school and going to the pumpkin farm with him. Whether it was going to a wrestling practice, or fishing with them, or playing catch in the backyard. Getting to see the look on his face and getting a hug at the end of something was more gratifying than anything I could ever imagine. I met my wife when I was 37 years old, and we dated for a few years. And one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do was figure out how I was going to propose to someone who I loved more than anything and who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Fortunately, I figured it out. I got down on the proverbial knee and proposed, and we've been married for 13 years, and every day she makes me a better person than the day before. It has a huge impact on my life.
We all have tendencies to make assumptions, and sometimes with those assumptions, the problem is that we believe them to be true. And the more that we assume things, and that we believe things to be true, it can kind of get us into trouble. And we get in a little bit of trouble because maybe we are too fearful to ask for clarification. And so we might have misunderstandings, and you might know my name, but maybe you don't know my story. So I come from this family of really, really intelligent, super smart, super artistic, really, really musical brothers and sisters. They were gifted. I'm the only one in my family that was adopted. And so from a very young age, I was assumed to be really smart and really talented musically and artistically and everything. And I just never felt like I lived up to that. And so when I was at school, at this elementary school, which was a Catholic school, and we wore these really pretty uniforms every day, I remember the teachers assuming that I could do everything that my brother did. My brother was so smart. And I remember them, teachers saying to me, well, you should be able to sit still and you should be able to listen, because everybody else in your family does. And I couldn't. It was just different. And so those assumptions really hit hard. And sometimes it's really painful to listen to that as you're going through life.
Impossible things before breakfast. Probably, I'm pretty sure, I'm absolutely sure that every single person in this room has had an impossible thought at some point. That there's a tiny glimmer inside of your mind that says that it is both impossible and possible at the exact same time. This is a paradox. And the morning happens to be the most often frequent time when these types of thoughts come to us, because we were just dreaming a minute ago, and then we're awake and we feel refreshed and we're like, oh, maybe I could do that. And so we say to ourselves, yeah, but I would have to do this and this, and the next thing you know, you talk yourself out of it, or the day begins and you're going on, and it kind of becomes this daunting thing, and you feel thwarted, and then, by noon it's really feeling impossible and you probably forgot about it anyways. So I'm going to share with you today a couple of things that many people consider to be impossible. And they are nevertheless things that I have found to be possible more than only in the morning.